Alex, do you think George Lucas is to blame for how Kingdom of the Crystal Skull turned out? Well, I mean, it's impossible to not point a lot of fingers at him. Like, you kind of have to point the fingers at George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. They're the two masterminds. One of them's the big idea person, and one of them is the one that executes the ideas. George Lucas only had weirder ideas for the film. They're pretty well documented out there. I mean, he wanted to do one with like atomic ants that were gigantic, and he wanted it to be a full-blown like invasion movie from the 1950s. Like, there's all these crazy things that he wanted to do. And Harrison Ford and George Lucas was like, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. And then at the end of the day, Steven Spielberg has said, like, I did that one for my buddy. This is the story my friend wanted to make, and I wanted to make a movie with my friend, so that's the film we made. You just kind of look at that and you go, well, George, you came up with a weird idea, and Steven, you went along with it. I think part of it where you would kind of have to blame George is, I don't know if it's a stubbornness or if it's an arrogance, but it feels like George Lucas isn't the guy that is the easiest to collaborate with on this or these big ideas. And if you invented Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I'd probably be pretty arrogant about my ideas too. But you kind of hear it and you go, George, you couldn't listen to the feedback from these other two people and play in that playground and find the idea that uses your creativity, but also uses their better sense of what is normal people want. And that normal people, like, it's like religious spectacle and aliens aren't the same thing. They're different genres. One is religious fiction and one is science fiction. They're not the same things. And the idea that they're each allowing for the spectacular, whether it's a cup that had Jesus's blood in it that gives you eternal life, or whether it's aliens, both spectacular things, but in different categories. And when you merge the two together, people are like, that was weird. That doesn't fit here. And George just wouldn't let go of the idea. And so you ended up with the compromised version, which was, he didn't change the genre to be a 1950s monster movie. He made a classic Indiana Jones movie with aliens in it, which is just a weird compromise. Probably better than going full 1950s, but also less interesting than going full 1950s. But you also have to blame Spielberg. There's I did a video very early on my channel called How to Fix Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's like from the first few months of my channel, very detailed. And I think Spielberg went with too much CGI and wasn't practical enough. There's too many shots that look ridiculous. There's all sorts of things in there that you just point the finger at Spielberg for, like, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't have done that. So you can't fully blame George, but George is to blame along with Spielberg. But I think it's those two. It's both of them. I wouldn't blame the screenwriters. The screenwriters were hired guns. And they brought in, do you look at the list of names that worked on scripts for this movie? They're all top names. But they were hired guns doing what George told them to do with notes from Spielberg. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.